Hi lovelies, and welcome into my kitchen. Today we are preparing a wonderful witchy treat for your Beltane celebration. A Swedish sandwich cake with fresh spring herbs. To keep this Beltane recipe accessible to everybody, I will throughout the video also give tips and tricks on how to make a vegan or vegetarian version, or how to replace certain wild foraged herbs with ingredients that can easily be found in any supermarket. But all in all, this delicious savory centerpiece for your Beltane table is super easy and quick to make, while still looking absolutely festive and impressive. And it truly captures the very essence of Beltane, the celebration of spring and the coming summer, new life and abundance in nature. We first need to grab a cake mold, or even better, a slightly higher cake ring, so we can really layer lots and lots of yumminess in there. Now we simply put some sandwich bread in there so that we have a first stable layer of bread. To do so, just cut the bread in smaller pieces to stuff into every free spot. Once the entire bottom is covered, we will start mixing our creams. For this sandwich cake, we will make 3 different layers that all complement each other in taste. I started mine off with a fresh cucumber and wild garlic cream. For the base, we simply combine cream cheese with sour cream, or a bit of cream or yogurt, or just take whatever you have at home really. And if you like it a bit spicy, I suggest adding a dollop of creamed horseradish too. The dips almost all do contain milk products, but don't worry, you can definitely make this into a vegan sandwich cake too. You could either switch to use dairy products out by vegan-friendly alternatives, or you can choose different creams altogether. For example, roasted spicy beetroot cream, spice and herb-infused hummus, baba ganoush, a vegan spinach cashew dip, all of which will make for a wonderful Middle Eastern taste explosion. Then we will need to peel and slice a cucumber. This will give the cream a lovely fresh note. Also, Beltane is all about explicit fertility rites and such, so can't go wrong there with some phalli-shaped veggies. Now, I personally enjoy the Nordic flavor combination of creamy and sour, so I added some pickles to the dip too, chopped in fine pieces. But shield them from the sight of the mighty cucumber, because we don't want to give them complexes. Wild garlic is definitely one of the most popular herbs of the season. You can find it growing in leafy forests and close to water, but be very careful when foraging for it. Its leaves can easily be confused with lily of the valley, which is highly poisonous. If you can't find wild garlic, you can replace it with 1 garlic clove and some fresh chives. Once we have everything gathered in one bowl, we want to season it with some salt and pepper and give it a whirl. Then we simply spread it on top the first layer of bread, so the entire cake is covered evenly. Depending on the circumference of your cake pan or cake ring, you might have a bit too much cream. Just don't pile on too much of it, as otherwise the cake gets too heavy. I then layered smoked salmon on top the cream, as it goes fantastic with the general flavors of this sandwich cake. When making a vegetarian alternative to this Beltane sandwich cake, you could use sliced cheddar cheese instead of the fish, or substitute it with sliced cucumbers, radish and carrots. And then, you guessed it, we are going to cover it with a layer of sandwich bread again before making the second dip, which will be a sweet and savory beetroot cream. You will need cooked beetroots that you then grate in medium fine pieces. If you love it quick and cheap and battery powered, and also want to avoid pink fingers, whip that blender out and buzz it in there for 3 seconds. To stay with a color scheme, I went for a red onion just to balance out the sweetness with a bit of spice. And just like the beetroot, the onion too shall die a cruel and unnecessary death by grinding. If you're easily moved to tears by such onion cruelty, I do recommend a blender again for a quicker demise. Now on to happier things. A bit of honey, which by the way is also highly associated with Beltane, reminding us of the abundance and fertility of nature. Last but not least, we add a dollop of cream cheese and then we mix it into this beautiful pink beetroot cream. To give it some more nuance, I suggest adding fresh dill, especially if you are making the variety with lax. And then of course season it to your taste with salt and pepper in order to achieve that sweet and savory flavor combination. After combining everything well, we spread it onto the cake as the second layer. Personally, this is my favorite cream, so I did put on a lot. And now we will cover it up with a soft blanket of fluffy sandwich bread again. By the way, last year I already made a little video with some ideas on how to celebrate Beltane at home, so feel free to check that out too for inspiration and information on the pagan holiday itself. Time for a dip number 3, avocado cream with stinging nettle. Where I live, stinging nettle grows absolutely everywhere, so it is easy to get. But when foraging, do keep in mind the general rules of wild foraging to stay safe and to not turn your Beltane dish into a toxic waste bomb. If you can't find nettle, just leave it out completely or add some basil to the avocado. So after we skillfully slice the avocado like a true millennial avocado toast chunky, we add in a splash of fresh lemon juice. This tastes good, but also prevents the beautiful green cream from browning. Before going further, we will need to disarm the dangerous nettle. And we can do so by drowning it in boiling hot water for a minute. But alternatively, you can also beat it up with a rolling pin. Both methods will make sure it is frightened into submission and the little stinging hairs won't harm you anymore. When removing it from the water, immediately place it in a bowl with ice water. Like that it will keep its beautiful green color. And now we don't have any issues touching it with bare hands and can chop it into fine pieces. To round out the flavor of this dip, we can add in some finely chopped scallions, then mix everything together and mush the ripe avocado with a fork. I just do love those calories and I never can say no to cheese, so I did add some grated cheddar too. When making a slightly healthier version of this, or if you're vegan, absolutely leave it out. It is in no way necessary. And once we have combined the cream, we spread it onto the bread. Now our Beltane sandwich cake is almost finished. We just need one more layer of sandwich bread on top, and after that we make the glaze, if you will. While we prepare the glaze, the sandwich cake should be placed in the fridge for about half an hour, so the creams really can set with the bread. And it doesn't fall apart when we remove the mold or ring later on. The glaze is simply a combination of cream cheese and a tiny bit of yogurt seasoned with a bit of salt and pepper. You want to make sure that you mix it really well to get a smooth cream. It is fairly easy to spread it onto the cake with a knife. Or, of course, if you have professional equipment, go ahead and act all important. Before removing the sandwich cake from the mold, you want to loosen it with a knife so it doesn't stick to the sides and ribs. Then carefully lift the cake ring. And ta-da! Doesn't that look lovely and festive already with all those bright natural colors? It definitely gets me in the mood for spring and summer. By the way, if you're looking for some more ideas on how to celebrate Beltane by yourself, or if you'd like some more inspiration for spring kitchen witchery, fitting Beltane rituals and spells, or festive activities, keep your eyes peeled as I will be uploading an early Beltane celebration vlog at the beginning of next week, where I will talk both about Beltane as well as my local traditions and folk magic of Walpurgisnacht and May Day. For the decoration of this cake, I was inspired by the little magical spot underneath one of my apple trees that has all those wonderful flowers growing. So I went for pansy, violet, dandelion and daisies. When it comes to decorating, especially when using flowers and petals, you want to make sure that you either use safely wild foraged ingredients or untreated plants from your garden or an all biological nursery. Flowers you can get at the supermarket or flower shops are usually treated with tons of toxins and are definitely not safe to eat. But there are many other ingredients you can decorate the sandwich cake with. Think making little roses from tomatoes or radish, using parsley or basil or green asparagus for some greenery, or cutting up red onions and cucumbers to turn into magical flowers. How are you going to celebrate Beltane this year? Do you already have a special Beltane recipe picked out to honor the day and season, or are you just keeping it low-key? Let me know in the comments down below. Have the most magical day and have a wonderful Beltane celebration. See you soon!